गाइस 4:40 हो चुके हैं, हॉटस्टार्ट स्टार्ट हो चुका है और आज मैं बहुत ही एक्साइटिंग 2 कॉन्वर्सेशंस आपके लिए लेके आ गई हूँ एज ऑलवेज। One, I'll be talking to Mr. Barun Agarwal, who is an environmentalist and makes air purifiers, and 2, I'll be talking to Mr. Pranshu Sikka, who by the way strategizes very heftily for business. So I think we want to start, right?
My name is Barun Agarwal and I am the founder and CEO of BreatheEasy Consultants Private Limited.
Thank you, Mr. Agarwal, for talking to us today. So what does BreatheEasy Labs do?
So BreatheEasy Labs is India's first indoor air quality solution provider. We essentially saw that there was a big problem with air quality in India, in many parts of India. And we realized that there was a need for coming out with solutions that actually help people breathe easier indoors. So the whole gamut related to testing of air quality to solutions for homes, offices, malls, hospitals, large facilities, schools. We do all of it when it comes to indoor air quality. My tagline when it's in Delhi is I bring Davos to Delhi, so I can do the best air quality that you can imagine indoors.
But how is indoor air quality different from outdoor air quality?
The outdoor air has an impact on indoor air. So you have a lot of pollutants outdoors like particulate matter, like certain gases like sulfur dioxide or nitrogen dioxide, which do tend to come into your indoor spaces. So you have to treat the air before it comes in, or you have to clean that indoor space of these pollutants. But what is not typically known is there are a couple of indoor pollutants which are actually very, very harmful to human health also and productivity. Okay. One of them is total volatile organic compounds. You see an office like this, the paint that is on the walls, the carpet on the floor, the furniture, the paper, the books, everything over here is emitting a low level of volatile organic compounds. The cleaning liquids that we use is also emitting volatile organic compounds. And you have to ensure that you're diluting them by bringing outdoor air, or you're cleaning them with certain proper filtration so that you don't get impacted by those. And those VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, are actually carcinogenic and harmful to the human body. Correct. And the second one is simple carbon dioxide. We all learned in biology. Right. We breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. Yeah. And in a closed area, as you continue to spend time during the day, the CO2 levels go up and you start getting little tired, little lethargic, you feel little dizzy.
Is that not because of the food?
That's most people think after a heavy lunch you feel that way, but it's typically the CO2 levels peak in an office at about 2 p.m., 3 p.m. and that's why you feel drowsy and lethargic and tired. So if you are sitting over here in an area which is completely fresh air, where we control the CO2 levels and keep it below 1,000 or 900 parts per million, you don't feel as tired and as groggy in the afternoon as most other places.
Wow, that's one way to, eat as much as you like without really worrying about the lethargy. Anyway, but I was going to ask you, what is the mechanism of BreatheEasy Labs? What do you exactly do? Can you explain the working?
So it's 3 parts, right? So the first part, which I call it as the base of our business, the base of our workings, is testing, right? You can't fix what you can't measure. Right. So when I know a number of what is this number, and I know there's a standard in terms of where it should be. So I serve on multiple standards committees around the world and in India to create standards for indoor environment and indoor air quality. So now we have clear defined standards of what your air and what your surroundings should be like in terms of certain parameters for air quality. Now we go out and we test those parameters, right? So we've got very high-end sophisticated equipment. We go to people's homes, we test the air for them. We go to malls, offices, schools, hospitals, and we test the air and we see what are the contaminants that are present in the air over there. Once we know what is wrong, then we are able to design and execute solutions to ensure that those pollutants are taken care of. Okay. And then the last part is maintaining those solutions. Right. We got to ensure that on an ongoing basis, because air is so dynamic. Sure. You have so many variables that are going to impact what's going to happen in an office space, opening of doors, somebody coming in with a specific deodorant or a perfume, and that might impact the air quality in the space. So dynamically maintaining that and managing that on an ongoing basis so that the consumer, the customer at the end is ensured with perfect air quality is what we do.
We have like a gamut of air purifiers into the market today. So how do you sort of, strive to stand out into that market?
So a couple of things. We only believe in quality and results. So we are the exclusive partners of a Swiss company called IQ Air, which has been a 55-year-old company focusing only on air quality and air cleaning devices. And they manufacture their devices in Switzerland, which you can imagine will be of the highest quality. Absolutely. So number one, that. And number two, it's the result. With these machines, we are able to give results which no other machine on the market can even get close to. And I'll talk about just one pollutant, carbon dioxide. We sleep in a bedroom. There's perhaps one or two people sleeping in one bedroom. Nowadays, most people sleep with their doors and windows closed. Correct. And you turn on a split air conditioner, like perhaps something like this in your bedroom. Right. And what happens is this is just recirculating the air in the room and cooling it for you. Sure. You're breathing out carbon dioxide, you're breathing in oxygen, and by midnight, your carbon dioxide level in your room is close to 2,500 to 2,800 parts per million.
And what is it that it should be?
According to the recent Harvard study, it should be less than 800 parts per million.
Oh my goodness.
Outdoors is 400. The global average is 407 parts per million. Right. So it will always be higher indoors. Up to 800 is good as per a Harvard study. You feel fresh. The first thing you wake up in the morning, instinctively you open your doors and windows. Why? Because it's stale air. You want fresh air.
Fresh air.
But fresh air, unfortunately, this morning I woke up, I could start to get the smell of smoke because of the crop burning that's happening around in Punjab and Haryana.
Correct.
So what we do is with this machine, this is the only one on the market that can do this. No other air purifier on the market can even come close to it. They don't even talk about it because they can't touch this. No. We can fix the CO2 problem as well. We bring in air from outside, we filter it through multiple layers of filtration in this machine, and we pressurize the room. So my particulate matter in my bedroom at night is 0 micrograms per cubic meter. Most people are happy in the winter time when it's 30, 40 in their room. Right. I'm not. It needs to be 0.
Incredible. Varun, I'd like to know what your personal journey with BreatheEasy Labs has been like since you started.
With BreatheEasy Labs, it's been quite incredible. We started this January 1, 2013. And it was really tough because at the time, awareness on air pollution was extremely low. Sure. People did not understand. I used to talk to them. I used to tell them this is a big problem. It's invisible, but it's a problem. And they used to think I've lost it. So for the first 8 months, our total revenue in BreatheEasy was 0. And it was, people thought I was crazy selling something which is invisible. Right. I would hear things like, oh, we pay for water, now we even have to pay for air. This fellow's gone crazy. But slowly, I think it started to change. The World Health Organization report later that year, which talked about Delhi being the world's most polluted capital, right, started to raise the awareness levels. And slowly after that, I think the conversation started changing. It's taken time, it's still been very slow, right, but it's been very rewarding because what we've been able to do, I think a lot of my colleagues over here will attest to that. The reason why we're all very passionate and get to work every Monday morning or every day of the week, especially Monday morning, we can't wait to get back, right, is because we know the difference that we're able to make in people's lives. Right. I've had mothers call me saying, because of our solution, asthma attacks for their children have gone down, nebulizer use has gone down. I've had one of the leading cardiologists of the country call me and sat with me for an hour and a half and then asked me to fix the air quality for a patient of his who's got pulmonary fibrosis. We put in a solution for her home, and a week after Diwali, her mother calls me and says, where were you 3 years ago? Why didn't I find you earlier? I mean,
I'm sure you not just breathe easy, but also sleep easy at night with the noble work that you do. And lastly, I cannot wrap this up without asking you that, with Greta Thunberg, the conversation around environment and the impact it has on us has really, gone up. People are suddenly talking about it. What do you think is the future,
That's a great question. I look at that, what she's done is absolutely phenomenal. Consumerism has to reduce because the more we consume, the more we spend, the more impact it has. So if we reduce our consumerism and simplify our lives as we were many years ago, I think that's where the future is headed.
Thank you so much, Varun, for talking to us today. I think this was really insightful, and also I feel easy after talking to you that the future is definitely taken care of. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bhavya.
Guys, I've learned how to breathe easy. Now it's time I strategize a little for the business. So see you on the other side. Stay tuned.
2, 1.
Hi, I'm Pranshu Sikka and I'm CEO at The Pivotals.
Thank you, Mr. Sikka, for taking time out and talking to us today.
Thank you for having me over.
Yes, so the Pivotals, what pivotal role is it playing?
Well, The Pivotals was conceptualized about 4 years ago, and we claim to be India's first business for-ease outsourcing firm, or what we call BWO.
Right.
The idea was that with the startup culture booming in the country, there are a lot of startups who are trying to figure out their basic needs and trying to focus on their core business while they're trying to outsource other associated and allied activities like marketing, PR, branding, legal, etc. to some firms.
Right.
And we are trying to become a one-stop shop to provide all solutions related to marketing, public relations, branding, as well as legal needs of our clients.
So how does somebody get in touch with you? They need your help to sort of run their business.
Well, like I said, we started by catering to a lot of startups, but we've been fortunate enough that even a lot of large companies have chosen us as their partner because they look at a boutique niche firm which specializes in certain areas. Now, a lot of our traffic is inbound because of the boom of social media. However, word of mouth still constitutes a large part of our business because people trust us with their most important things like branding, outreach, stakeholder engagement, and therefore trust becomes a very important factor in choosing a partner.
Okay, so can you tell us when exactly did you start, and since then what has your journey been like since you forayed into the market?
Well, we started in 2016. We started being a public relation branding firm, like I said. However, with the boom in internet and with the democratization of distribution, digital marketing and social media forms a large part of our business now. We are also doing digital marketing and conventional marketing for a lot of our clients as an extension of public relation and branding.
I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, now we have so many unconventional careers these days, and in that essence, what is it that the Pivotals exactly does to help them grow?
Well, to be honest with you, Bhavya, in the last 1.5 years, because of the new hiring trends, I've started feeling very old in my organization because there are these brilliant 20 to 25-year-old kids who really excel in what we don't understand. For us, it's rocket science. But the way social media is coming at us and the way the spend is moving towards digital now, there are a lot of career avenues that are opening in that space. One is, of course, the conventional social media marketing, online reputation management, SEO, SMO, which might sound simple, but they need a lot of expertise which these kids bring on board. The other is the growth of new generation careers like people who make doodles, people who make infographics, animated infographics. That is a very specialized resource in the market now. And thirdly is the growth of the whole influencer culture. So our the youngest member in my team is a social media influencer on a platform that I haven't heard of, and therefore these new age career avenues are really opening not only a plethora of options for the youngsters, but also bringing out the creative side of them because of the nature of the medium.
Okay, so in which case, how exactly do you assist them? I mean, are there any certain guidelines that they ought to follow in order to, gain a certain number, or what sort of strategizing do you exactly do for them?
Well, that's a fabulous question because everyone is confused about that right now.
Yeah.
So right from our clients who give us certain social media metrics to us who have created certain internal metrics to evaluate performance, there are a lot of checks and balances that we have put in place. However, to be honest with you, this market is still evolving and there is still some way to go before we can exactly assess and gauge the return on investment that is happening towards this digital spend. However, for our resources, we put certain metrics like the number of followers, the number of likes, the number of engagements. In terms of qualitative output, the creative side of it, so for example, infographics, doodles, that is still subject to the liking of the client, to be honest. However, one thing which has really transformed this industry in a big way, and thank you to the regulators who are putting checks and balances in place. The sanitization of the medium is making it more and more difficult to bluff numbers.
Who are these people who really work with the Pivotals, and what is it that you keep in mind while hiring someone?
So we have a very mixed profile of people. Like I said, this young brigade who's very good at social media. Right. Then we have some very senior members from larger communication firms who help us make strategy, etc. One thing which is paramount, Bhavya, to our hiring policy is the intent to learn, because we firmly believe that mental lethargy is an epidemic disease, especially among certain young people who don't want to think. Right. And for us as a small boutique firm, it is important that each member is mentally agile, willing to learn newer things, because that is the way ahead. We are finding it difficult to learn newer things, and therefore we find it paramount while hiring that a person should be willing to learn newer things and just be dedicated for those 8.5 hours that he is in office towards his work commitment.
This whole startup culture, there's a boom there. So how is the Pivotals benefiting from them, or is it vice versa?
So it works both ways, honestly. We help startups grow and therefore they help us grow. Okay. We are working with a large number of startups and helping them right from, like I said, social media management to public relations, marketing, branding, etc. Now some of them work on tight budgets, and therefore they choose to go with a firm which invests more in people and brings out expertise. And therefore, yes, we are adding to the growth story of the startup culture. We are very optimistic right now about the entire startup culture in the country. However, raising funds, as we have seen with some of our clients, raising funds and getting venture capitalists into your company is actually a two-way sword. So, we've seen recently in the unfortunate development of Siddharth losing his life to certain alleged financial pressures. As an entrepreneur, it is very important to trade that fine line very carefully and not overbalance on either side. So yes, you need the funds to spend, but yes, you also need the autonomy to run the company like you want to.
So in this case, in your sector especially, what way is heavier? Is it the educational credential one comes with, of course, or there is the on-ground learning that one, of course, gets to know every day, on day-to-day basis. So in your case, what would you say way heavier, and what was it that you probably did which helped you in becoming what you have today?
Well, honestly, I don't think I've come too far. I'm a journalist by training. I think being a journalist by training helped me a lot, because then you learn to pick and choose certain things which you observe and you try and learn on the job. However, what we look for is largely on-job training. Yes, it is important to come with certain educational background, to come equipped with certain degrees and certain skill sets. Right. But like I said, the market is evolving so quickly that it is impossible for anyone to have learned enough to last a job. Unlike 20 odd years ago, when you could just learn a skill set and survive for the rest of your career. But we look at people who are open to on-ground learning while they come equipped with basic intent to give it their best.
Okay, amazing. So, I mean, one piece of advice we usually ask is that if somebody who wants to, replicate what you have done or wants to do something similar, is there one piece of advice that you would like to give to them?
Well, keep learning. One piece of advice is that you never know success is coming to you from which direction. You must just keep moving, keep doing things that your heart tells you to. However, do not go too off trajectory, so don't do an MBA and then decide to do an MBBS, but as long as you are in the allied fields and you go after things that you think you ought to do, you would have found your destiny in the right way.
Well, that's a fantastic thought to wrap this up on. Thank you so much, Mr. Sikka, for talking to us today. I think this was really insightful. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
2, 1.